Everybody, and welcome to this Fast Chat. I'm Bill Clayman, contributing editor here at Information Week and EVP of Digital Solutions over at Switch. And my goodness, do we have a really fun conversation. We see these connected systems all over the world. We live in a connected society, and this certainly is something that's impacting the business as well, where we're starting to automate every single part of the business. But what happens when it's just a lot? And you have all these now great automated systems, but how do you manage it all? How do you actually unify automation on one single platform and even work with things like hyperautomation? That is what we're here to talk about today. I am so excited to bring in Amit Saxena, who is the VP and General Manager for the Automation Engine over at ServiceNow. Amit, it's great to have you.
Thank you, Bill, for having me here. And you're right. As much as it sounds like a joke, hyperautomation is really changing the way the automation is thought about and implemented. In fact, what we're seeing across the board when the customers and C-level offices we have been speaking to, this has become a business imperative for every organization. In fact, it's no longer an option, it's a condition of survival, because when you're doing those automation at scale, that's where you are getting that resiliency. That's where you're freeing up the organization to focus more on the resources, on human innovations. And that is what is driving speed and agility, which is needed very much in today's constant change and disruption, right? And I always bring up one example, Bill. This is the Bain study was done, and they interviewed and researched market leaders who were automating 2 to 5 times more work than their lagging counterparts. And what they found out is these leaders are generating higher revenues, experiencing very fewer disruptions in the supply chain and workforce productivity and the demands. So for ServiceNow, when we talk about hyperautomation, it boils down to 3 simple things, all framed in people-first mentality to enhance their experience and their impact. Number 1, a business strategy, which is to automate the enterprise as much as possible, as you were saying, Bill. Automate every single opportunity which is reasonably possible inside your organization. Number 2, an end-to-end approach to automation, meaning leveraging every single view of process, all the tasks, and the good part is continuously optimizing those over a period of time, right? And finally, the most important part of overall hyperautomation is keep your people in the center of this, meaning people-first mentality. By evolving people's work and enhancing their experience, guess what? Every employee is giving their best and they're passionate about their work. Automatically, it helps the underlying KPIs. So going back to the C-level suite, they are concerned about increased efficiency, productivity, employees, and customer experiences. And that's where underlying powers the KPIs for an organization.
That was a lot of really great information. I mean, you actually answered one of my questions. I was curious, right? Back in the day, I shouldn't be using air quotes, but like usually C-suite people didn't really care about technology. As long as those lights were green and blinking, everything's fine, right? But this concept of automation, this idea of people, process, and technology, but unifying it and having people no longer put out fires, but planting seeds for the business, that's an entire paradigm shift for a lot of these executives. So is this why you think concepts like hyperautomation are top of mind for the C-suite?
Absolutely. I think if you look about C-suite, as I said, some of these increased efficiency, productivity, employee and customer experience, all of these are resulting into that key performance indicator the C-suites are measuring their business on. And instead of just focusing on the revenue and top line and bottom line growth, you are focusing on people first mindset to free up without hiring more and more, able to have existing workforce give the best and be happy while doing that work. So that's where the set of hyper automation platform and technologies are coming in.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, listen, who doesn't want a happy employee that's suddenly way more productive and loves what they do? I mean, I think that's brilliant. So I want to move on here because you asked some really interesting questions and you give some really interesting points here. Um, I've worked with ServiceNow in the past. I've been really lucky in the sense that I've worked with a development company that deploy into ServiceNow ITSM, ITOM solutions, and
Yeah,
I've seen ServiceNow integrated into the data center industry. So literally ticketing and servicing tools into data center infrastructure management solutions. But I'm
exactly.
gonna take a deep breath here. I'm really curious. I mean, could you talk us through ServiceNow's hyper automation product and technology portfolio? And here's what I'm personally really curious about. What's new? What are some of the latest examples of innovation in this space?
This is exciting, Bill. You have touched upon something. First of all, I am very surprised how much you know about hyperautomation, the way you've been describing it. So thank you, Bill. This is an exciting time for the whole company. Just in the late March, we released San Diego release for our Now platform. And
Mhm.
this includes our brand new native ServiceNow RPA. And we are adding this to our proven low code integration hub. So now in and packaged it something what we are calling it automation engine. So automation engine gives our customers the ability to be able to connect anything, any ServiceNow workflow, because Bill, you have seen you can connect to any modern system with APIs easily with integrations, right? And our customers have been using those technologies in ServiceNows in all kind of environments, including data center, with billions of transactions. However, it's always difficult to reach out to those legacy systems or the systems which do not have APIs, or systems who have an API, but the functionality you need is not exposed in those APIs. This is where RPA Hub comes in. And we have built this whole automation engine native on the Now platform. So our existing customers who are already familiar with our Flow Designer, App Engine tooling, which is a low-code tooling, they can now orchestrate cross-enterprise processes in a low-code way, all within a single platform and a single data model build.
I think that's brilliant. And I've seen automation, right? We've seen things like virtualization sprawl. We've seen things like, server sprawl, and I don't want to throw a new word out there, automation sprawl. And that's a part of the challenge where you have the swivel chair analysis issue where you're looking at too many screens trying to manage this great concept, but on way too many screens. So when we start to talk about ServiceNow and your approach, and here's what I'm really curious about. What makes ServiceNow's approach to specifically hyper automation unique and really unlike anybody else?
Yeah, and you're right. So I think you're touching upon on something. See, automation technology's been around for a long time, right? And we're talking about decades. And in the
Mhm.
last 6, 7 years alone, there are new breeds of automation technologies that have emerged, which are providing tool-centric automations at departmental and at task level automations. When we talk to customers, specifically the large enterprises, it all comes down to the same technology requirements, even though they are in different verticals and different industries. So our approach to hyper automation opportunity with our customers, we keep our customers' need in mind. And today in 2022, you shouldn't need 10 different technology vendors just to do your automations. How about just one? And that's where ServiceNow hyperautomation platform comes in, right? Our idea here is to put that significant focus on our customers to begin, conceptualize the whole automation journey and which delivers results, all without working with 10 different vendors. And now it is easier said than done. This is where all the innovations from ServiceNow over a period of time comes in. Um, and along with the San Diego release I just mentioned,
Mhm.
what's unique about our hyper automation approach, as you asked, is we are taking a human-centric approach, which is how our Now platform is built in. So our Now platform, it offers the um, optimal simplicity for our automation by anyone. So underlying the word
Mhm.
anyone, we are really building it out for citizens, developers as well. It enables dynamic processes for driving their business models. And with San Diego release, we even provided a next generation user experience. We are calling it Next Experience, which is human centric experience for all the personas involved. And finally, as you were talking about ITSM, you were talking about that configuration management, you were talking about process and application changes. We have a unique and distinct advantage because we already know all those systems and devices in customers' landscape. So guess what? If any of those applications and devices are undergoing a change, it may be a simple software change or security patches or upgrades, we already know and we can proactively take care of preventing any outages. So if you look at first generation RPA and automation technologies, many times they will break and you will have a failure rate of very high percentage because things keeps on changing. Here with our ServiceNow hyper automation platform, since we already know what the changes are coming, you can prevent those outages from happening to begin with, right? And all of this is delivered literally on a single data model. So that gives you a complete insight. And now I want to touch one thing about the developers, because these are the ServiceNow developer community, automation developers. These are the guys who are bringing this reality or this idea into reality, right? And we, by serving all of these technologies of hyper automation on a single platform, we are reducing the learning curve for these developers.
You're making automation easier. I love it. So we've been talking about some really, really amazing things. And for everybody listening, it's clear that Amit and I drank the same coffee today because we're full of energy about automation. RPA integrated hyper automation. My goodness, I think you gave some marketing people listening to this goosebumps with that statement. I think that's awesome. I love this evolution that we're seeing from task specific to entire department automation. And I want everyone to hear this. And Amit said this multiple times, and it's really important to grasp it. It's not technology necessarily first, it's people first, human-centric technology experiences to truly enable a workforce, not just from IT, tech, or dev. Human resources, accounting, business management, C-level executives can all begin to leverage these solutions to not just hyper-automate themselves, but hyper-automate the business. And that sounds cheesy, but that's actually real because we're creating this truly native citizen experience. And I think that's awesome. And as we're talking about this, I was super curious about this other item. I love discussing this topic and I love talking about how these solutions can make a change in people's lives. What I love even more, and everybody listening, are real world examples and scenarios. This is what I'm going to ask about next. Can you give us just a couple of real world examples of how specifically ServiceNow's automation and obviously hyper automation solutions are really driving customers' digital transformation and most of all, delivering concrete and measurable value?
Absolutely. Favorite part, because it's all about our customers and the value they are driving. This itself, I love to speak in minutes and minutes on this, but let me give you some concrete examples, right? TD Bank, one of the largest financial services organizations, running almost 30,000 requests per month for their desktop software and systems. Seems pretty simple, but they need to connect using that ServiceNow ITSM you were talking about, Bill, with that Active Directory, Microsoft SCM. And this is where a lot of our automation engines integration hub technology comes in, whereby you can reach out to automating and serving those requests, which used to take days, into literally minutes. So not only the requester who requested this, their productivity is improved many times, you have now freed up the same IT services team because you know it, well, the IT teams, the CIO offices teams are not growing as fast as the rest of the organization in terms of the human capital, right? So they need to be smart enough to be able to do more with the same set of employees. So these kind of implementations with hyper automations and automation technologies really help them free up that time. That way they can focus on next strategic project. Here's a large chemical manufacturer, and this one is going to be speaking at our upcoming Innovation Customer Conference next month. Now, they are having 200 plus legacy network. Imagine legacy devices. And of course, they have modern apps. They have cloud apps. They have all this productivity tools. You can imagine email, Excel, custom apps they've built. Now, they have used our automation engines, RPA capability. So you could imagine very simple benefits, which everybody could get. Productivity hours saves 1,500. Okay. Well, what's important is the mean time to resolution is improved by 70%. And before implementing this, they were 40% of their change request bill was an SLA violation, meaning they were not meeting the established SLAs. After implementing ServiceNow's platform and hyperautomation tooling, they are now 100% SLA compliance, right? So just imagine that one of legacy systems, generally in many of these companies, I mean, we're investing so much in modern, but there's still certain applications part of the legacy team. And you put them in the corner with a couple of guys just taking care of legacy systems. With now ServiceNow's end-to-end hyper automation platform, you can bring all those legacy application and processes into your mainstream automation needs. And this is where you can free up that time, all that mundane task. Nobody wants to work about copying the data and just opening your emails and reading the PDF file and copying it over into a system. That can all be handled using, build a bot for it, deploy it. That way, you're at the end of the day, you're freeing up more and more time, right? So what I just want to leave you with is we have many and many of such stories, Bill, coming up. And starting May 11th, we are starting our tour of our customer innovation summits. We call it Knowledge. And you can find out more about Knowledge at servicenow.com.
Wonderful. Before we wrap this up, I'm so glad you mentioned legacy systems and how it's not like a rip the Band-Aid off. It's like, hey, these applications are important. We get it. Here's how you still put them into this overall architecture of hyper automation. Amit, thank you so much. I mean, oh my goodness, talk about like filling my brain with awesome facts and knowledge on a fun little morning here. Thank you so much for joining us on this Fast Chat. Amit Saxena, VP and General Manager for Automation Engine at ServiceNow. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Bill Klaban, contributing editor at Information Week. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.